In the heart of Jomon villages, people lived in pit dwellings, homes built partially underground with thatched roofs. These weren't temporary shelters, but carefully designed houses meant to last through Japan's changing seasons. By digging into the earth, the Jomon created natural insulation, staying warm during cold winters and cool in the summer. Inside each home, the hearth was sacred, not just a place for cooking, but the emotional center of family life. Stories were shared around the fire, meals were cooked together, and rituals were performed for good health and prosperity. The glow of the flame was more than warmth. It symbolized life and continuity. Jomon society was built around community cooperation. People shared responsibilities. Hunting, gathering, crafting, and raising children were done collectively. Seasonal rituals were held under tall trees, where everyone participated. These gatherings often involved music, chanting, and dancing, all done without instruments or written language. Instead, rhythm, memory, and movement kept their stories and traditions alive. The forest itself was a sacred gathering space, and under its sheltering canopy, the Jomon connected with each other, their ancestors, and the spirits of nature. One of the most dramatic cultural shifts in Japanese history came with the transition from the Jomon to the Yei period. The Jomon people had lived for thousands of years as hunter-gatherers, developing pottery, spiritual traditions, and sustainable living practices. But around 300 BCE, the Yei migrated from the Asian mainland. They brought with them rice agriculture, bronze and iron tools, and more organized, hierarchical social systems. Unlike the Jomon's forest-based settlements, the Yei built larger, flatter villages near rice paddies and riverbanks. The difference can be seen clearly in their material culture. Jomon pottery was richly decorated with rope-like cord patterns, sometimes wild and expressive. Yei pottery, on the other hand, was simpler, smoother, and more functional, reflecting a shift in priorities from spiritual expression to practical farming life. The introduction of metal tools and weapons was a revolutionary change. While the Jomon used stone, bone, and wood, the Yei's bronze spears and iron blades allowed for greater efficiency in both farming and warfare. This brought not just technological change, but also a transformation in power structures, leading to early political organization. Although the Yei culture eventually dominated, it's important to remember that many Jomon traditions, especially their connection to nature, were absorbed into the Japanese identity that followed. For centuries, the Jomon people lived and died with no written record. But in recent decades, archaeologists have brought their story back to life, piece by piece. The discovery of Sanai Maruyama, a massive site in northern Japan, has completely reshaped our understanding of how advanced and settled the Jomon really were. At this site, researchers uncovered longhouses, storage pits, graves, stone tools, and thousands of beautifully crafted pottery pieces. These weren't primitive people. They had organized settlements, complex rituals, and aesthetic sensibilities that rivaled any ancient culture. One of the most mysterious findings are the Dogū figurines, small clay sculptures often featuring exaggerated features like large eyes or wide hips. Some appear to represent fertility or shamanic transformation. Others seem alien and abstract, sparking debate among scholars and artists alike. Interestingly, many Dogū were found intentionally broken, as if used in rituals that involved releasing spiritual energy or offering protection. This suggests that the Jomon believed in objects as vessels of power, not just decoration. Museums in Japan today proudly display these artifacts, preserving them as national treasures. Thanks to careful excavation and preservation, the voice of the Jomon, once silent, now echoes through glass displays, educational programs, and cultural exhibitions across the world. The Jomon may have lived thousands of years ago, but their influence continues to inspire the modern world. In pottery workshops across Japan, contemporary artisans recreate the iconic rope-patterned vessels, connecting modern hands with ancient techniques. Fashion designers, architects, and even digital artists incorporate Jomon aesthetics, the spirals, the flowing curves, the earthy textures, into their creations. It's not just about art, it's about honoring a worldview that prioritized balance, spirituality, and sustainability. In the environmental movement, the Jomon are often seen as early models of ecological harmony. They hunted without wiping out species, foraged without destroying forests, and lived within the limits of the land. This is deeply relevant today, as humanity faces the urgent need to rebuild our relationship with nature. Some of Japan's Jomon-era sites have been designated UNESCO World Heritage Sites, including sacred landscapes and archaeological zones. These places serve as both research sites and cultural memory grounds, where people can reflect on the roots of Japanese identity. The patterns found in ancient pottery are now carved into woodwork, painted on ceramics, and even projected onto modern city buildings during cultural festivals, blending the ancient with the contemporary in breathtaking ways. In the quiet between stone and clay, between forest and firelight, the Jomon left behind more than artifacts. They left behind a way of seeing the world, one that still has something to teach us today.